Everyone at the back to take your seats. We are almost at the end of the last day of ADRI's Silver Jubilee celebrations. The last 5 days have seen 28 lectures and 20 technical sessions with presentations from several scholars. In the next couple of minutes, we will start with the valedictory session. Can I please request all our distinguished guests to come on stage? Our chief guest, Srimati Draupadi Murmu, Honorable Governor of Jharkhand. Our distinguished guest, Shri Saryu Rai, Honorable Minister, Department of Parliamentary Affairs, Food, Public Distribution and Consumer Affairs, Government of Jharkhand. Dr. Ashok Chaudhary, Honorable Minister, Department of Education, Bihar. Our special guest, Mr. M. Asadur Rahman, Chief UNICEF Office for Bihar. Mr. Alkesh Wadhwani, Country Director, Policy and Poverty Alleviation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, India. Mr. Amit Khare, Development Commissioner, Government of Jharkhand. Mr. Diego Palacios, Country Representative for India and Bhutan, UNFPA. Lord Meghnad Desai, Emeritus Professor, London School of Economics and Political Science. Dr. J Boillot, Economist, CEPII, France, and advisor to former Prime Minister of France. Can I also request Professor Anjan Mukherjee, Chairman, Asian Development Research Institute. May I now request the team of ADRI to facilitate our honorable guests with flowers. Suraj Shankar to facilitate our Honorable Governor of Jharkhand. Manish Kumar to facilitate our Honorable Minister, Department of Parliamentary Affairs, Government of Jharkhand. Amit to facilitate the Honorable Minister, Department of Education, Bihar. Sushmita to facilitate Emeritus Professor, London School of Economics, Lord Desai. Amrish Kumar to facilitate J Boillot. Rajesh Kumar Singh to facilitate Mr. Diego Palacios. Rajiv Karan to facilitate Mr. Amit Khare. Shaibal Gupta to facilitate Mr. Alkesh Wadhwani. Mukesh Kumar to facilitate Mr. M. Asadur Rahman. Now a token by the members of ADRI. Sunita Lal, Honorable Governor of Jharkhand.
Madam, इधर move कर जाइए.
Sunita Lal to facilitate Honorable Governor of Jharkhand. Honorable Minister, Department of Parliamentary Affairs, Government of Jharkhand. Honorable Minister, Department of Education, Bihar. Lord Meghnad Desai. J Boillot. Mr. Diego Palacios. Mr. Amit Khare. Mr. Alkesh Wadhwani. And Mr. Asadur Rahman. Can I now request Professor Anjan Mukherjee, Chairman of ADRI, to please take over the proceedings.
Thank you. Thank you. With your permission, Madam Chairman, may I request Dr. Shaibal Gupta to
Honorable Srimati Draupadi Murmuji, the Governor of Jharkhand and Chief Guest of the inaugural session, Honorable Shri Saryu Rai ji, the Food Minister of Jharkhand, Honorable Dr. Ashok Chaudhary ji, the Education Minister of Bihar, Lord Meghnad Desai ji, the Chairman of Academic Advisory Committee of the conference, Mr. Diego Palacios, the country representative of India and Bhutan, UNFPA, Mr. Alkesh Wadhwani, the country director, Policy and Poverty Alleviation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mr. Asadur Rahman, Chief UNICEF, Office of Bihar, Dr. J Boillot, Economist, CEPII, France, my colleague, Professor Anjan Mukherjee, Chairman of ADRI, many dignitaries present in the audience, friends from the media, our honored delegates, enlightened academics and intelligentsia of Patna, ladies and gentlemen. The valedictory session of the conference is extremely momentous occasion for us after 5 days of stimulating conference. This is in some sense a stock-taking session. Who could be the better sounding board than the galaxy of India's foremost policymakers and representative of international organizations who are present here. Friends, I welcome you all to this valedictory session, both on behalf of ADRI and my own behalf. The Asian Development Research Institute, as you know, has already completed 25 years of its eventful existence, and we are now celebrating our silver jubilee year. This conference on Bihar and Jharkhand, shared history to shared vision, is a part of this celebration. 2 other conferences being held earlier. When ADRI was established in 1991, Bihar and Jharkhand were united. Even after their separation in 2000, Jharkhand could not go out of our cognitive world. 2 states were not merely a geographical expression, they also had a shared history and most of the time shared vision, even though the polity of both Jharkhand and Bihar is sharply divided along class, caste and tribal identities. Jharkhand and Bihar are now at crossroad. In this conference, scholars deliberated on their shared histories of development, vegetation, decline and divergence, mused on the present and speculated about the future of the region based on recent specific experience. It will certainly not be possible to present here the details of the deliberation of the conference, but I could mention some of the salient issues that the scholars had tried to discuss. These include impact of colonialism on Bihar and Jharkhand, an environment history of Jharkhand, story of mobility in the region, socio-political contribution of leaders like Sajanand Saraswati, Jadunandan Sharma, Birsa Munda, Jagjivan Ram and Jaypal Singh, state reorganization, identity formation, characterizing Hindi heartland, new directions of tribal scenario in Jharkhand and relation between Bihar and Nepal, political mobilizations around the idea of social justice, the political dynamics and development in the region. That apart, we had some outstanding Silver Jubilee lectures on issues such as emerging identities as language and culture, demand of a modern state, functioning of a democracy in India, inclusive growth, problems of land acquisition, feminization of agriculture, global crisis of liberal democracy and many others. On the basis of deliberations of the conference, we are bringing out a research agenda for social science for the next 1 century, which will keep our social scientists engaged for the next 100 years. Lord Meghnad Desai, in his valedictory address, will present this agenda. I sincerely hope that the state government of both Bihar and Jharkhand will pay heed to this agenda and help in establishing centers of excellence, not just on social science, but on mathematics and statistics, the twin disciplines that are now so cognate in social science. Bihar and Jharkhand already have competitive examination-centric hegemony. It will not be surprising that in the next couple of years, all the 600 districts of India will have a DM and SP from Bihar or Jharkhand. But that cannot be taken as an indicator of our hegemony. For that, we have to create hegemony in the world of epistemology. The Advanced Center of Social Science, Mathematics and Statistics that I mentioned before will act as a trigger for knowledge society. Earlier, the assembly line production was ultimate, but the foreseeable future will have to be a boutique knowledge component. This conference has been organized in the memory of late Arvind Narayan Das. He was an outstanding academic, journalist, filmmaker and chairman of ADRI during his formative period. He died almost 17 years ago, but his memory still lingers on, and because he motivated us to think big, though located in Bihar. This conference is tribute to his intellectual sagacity and unmatched brilliance. Friends, this conference has been possible because of kind assistance of 5 organizations: Center for Health Policy supported by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, UNFPA, ICSR, CEPII and the Times of India. I am extremely happy to inform that the State Higher Education Council of both Bihar and Jharkhand has also contributed much for this conference in terms of both resources and manpower. We are grateful to all of them. Senior professors from social science faculties of 10 universities of Bihar and 5 universities of Jharkhand have participated in this conference. In the conference, there were 28 Silver Jubilee lectures, 20 technical sessions. The Silver Jubilee lectures were not necessarily on Bihar and Jharkhand. These topics were to extend the cognitive world of the participants with frontline research agenda. We are extremely grateful that Srimati Draupadi Murmu ji, the Honorable Governor of Jharkhand, for agreeing to be the chairperson of today's valedictory session of the third international conference in spite of our very busy schedule. This is a big honor for us, and our presence here is a source of encouragement for our future academic efforts in Jharkhand. We are extremely grateful to our Honorable Education Minister Dr. Ashok Chaudhary ji for agreeing to be present in this valedictory session. He is making a massive effort for educational reform in Bihar. In particular, he is making a massive effort to build the edifice of the higher education in Bihar. To enhance our model, we have also among us Shri Saryu Rai ji, the Honorable Food Minister of Jharkhand, as one of the distinguished guests. He is one of the few persons who combines public work with scholarship. He has been well-wisher of ADRI for long, and by being here today, he has again reiterated his concern for us. Finally, let me also welcome other distinguished guests who are gracing the dais. We have with us Palacios, the representative of UNFPA, Mr. Alkesh Wadhwani, the Country Director of Policy and Poverty Alleviation, BMGF, Mr. Asadur Rahman, Chief UNICEF, Bihar Office, Mr. Amit Khare, the Development Commissioner, the Additional Chief Secretary and Finance Commissioner of Jharkhand. Besides being present in this valedictory session, they all have helped ADRI for organizing this conference through their financial, physical and moral support. Building research organization in a peripheral place like Patna is not an easy proposition. We are still in the process of building ADRI, but I must admit, while facing the trauma in our organizational stride, we always enjoyed tremendous goodwill of our friends and well-wishers during the last 25 years. In the first 15 years from 1991 till 2005, our development was limited. In the year 2000, we saw the vivisection of the state and Bihar reaching its nadir in the following years with much of its resources lost due to vivisection. But even during that period, we were able to create an identity of our organization. ADRI was a must destination for scholars, journalists from both print and electronic media, activists, diplomats, academics in all those years. Lastly, institutions cannot be built on the basis of brick and mortar alone. It needs efflorescence of ideas and multiplicity of views. This is true hallmark of a thinking organization. For example, bees always create structures that would put many architects to shame. But the difference between works architect and the bee is the fact that the architect first creates the structure in the mind before creating it in reality. The same is true of social change, which first requires a conceptual transcendence of status quo in minds towards an alternative society, which is then sought to be translated into reality. Building society on the basis of dialogic discourse has been the tradition of Bihar, and ADRI has always followed that tradition. Our greatest ambition is to calibrate ADRI with the highest tradition of a dialogic society. If we succeed, it will be the greatest achievement in the last 25 years of our existence. With these words, I welcome you all again to this valedictory session. In these coming years, ADRI will look forward to all of you for assistance and guidance in endeavor to reach new academic heights. Thank you.
request Professor J Boillot to say a few words, please.
J Boillot, everybody knows now. Can I close this? Yeah. In Delhi they call me JGB. This is easier than John Joseph Boillot. It's a pleasure, Honorable Minister and distinguished guest for European to give some remarks. Usually they are formal and substantive remarks, but since I'm a stupid European, I'll try to talk about both. As for the formal remark, I talked to many participants here, and you know that all express their contentment for the preparation, organization, and the proceeding, which is not easy at all. As you say, 5 days conference is the format of the past. Now it's 1 day, maximum 1.5 days, and 5 days talking together, it's really our task. So please, Dr. Shaibal Gupta, where is Shaibal? Where is Shaibal? Oh, you short, I'm tall. Take my advantage. And the team of ADRI, because we know that's always a team work. I can see here 10, 15, 20 ADRI people, not the team. And I hope that for India as well as for everybody, the concept of a team approach will remain in the head of everybody. There is nothing possible today without teamwork, so that everybody feel engaged, dynamic, and we feel that at the airport when we were received, but even 6 months before, everything was so simple, so smooth. Honorable Minister, you don't know how many papers you receive, files you receive on your table every day, you have to sign one by one, etc. No, this is the babocracy. The way babocracy, no? The way ADRI works is for us an example. I attend a lot of conferences, and I must tell you, this is always with big pleasure. I know that I can come. I will not receive 100 mails with order, counter-order, change, etc., etc. Except in the end, there were a lot of changes, but anyway, they went smooth. On the substance, if I may speak 3 minutes more, I think it's quite important for our guest of today to give you some feeling, some taste of the substance. And just I'd like to make 4 observations. The first one is, by far, ADRI conference is covering a large spectrum, not only in India, but even abroad, I must tell you, of topics and people. We have speakers from very different generations. Usually we have the old, the old people, the experienced people, they take the floor, and only they take the floor. We have in university or, the working session. Now, ADRI has a very unique format where we have, the old grey and the young scholars, researchers. And we need really to bring these people together and ADRI succeed. 20 working session, where we had doctorate scholars presenting their research and result. That is very important to keep this link very strong. Now, another interesting point or experience expressed by everybody is the way we have, under the same roof, researchers, scientists, let's say, and also babus, politicians. It means researchers and practitioners. And on that I want to make my second remark based on Arthashastra. You know that I'm fond of Arthashastra. I know that here on the table everybody knows Arthashastra. Why is it like this? Because we know that we need a state. We need a state, federal state, but also a state. And we need this because of the famous fable of the fishes. In the absence of a magistrate, the strong swallow the weak, whereas under his protection, the weak resist the strong. We need a state. But, we have heard at length during 5 days that in many cases, according at least to scientists, the state in India, I should say the states, are not really effective, and especially in protecting the weak. And even on the contrary, they may sometimes act against the interest of the weak. So where are the fishes? Now, this kind of conference can be, and Shaibal, this is a suggestion for the future, could be much more effective in bringing together those who are in charge of the state and the scientists. I must say that this confrontation has not taken place. Why? Because, you know, the politicians, they have their own experience. They know what are the obstacles. So that this is not because they are just turning their jacket once they are in power. This is also because they have to face real obstacles. When scientists sometimes, and most of the times, I'm sorry, because I was a babu and I've been a scientist as well, so most of the papers from the scientists never take into account those real obstacles. Third remark, to go fast now, sorry, is about I've asked some friends in the room to give our feedback, and I wanted to share very simply their feedback. First, 3 lectures seems to deserve a special attention for their policy consequences. One of Pulomita Chakrabarti from Brown University, showing that, and this is a very important point, lower caste, political elite, don't really improve the economic life of the mass once they assume power. We have to think about this point, and the paper was excellent. Number 2, the special lecture by Professor Ratin Roy from the NIPFB, showing the very narrow room for maneuver of the fiscal policy in India due to a confused objective, or let's say the dual objective. A, production inclusion of the poor, or 2, income redistribution. And we must think about this dual objective. It's not easy to accommodate them. Last, I'd like to mention the paper by the lecture by literator Alkesh Wadhwani on the deliberate linguistic strategy to build up the Hindi heartland after the independence, and the fact that maybe unfortunately they are sign of a big stress and even breaking down of this Hindi heartland. Last not least, or yes, maybe least, French scholars have appreciated very much 3 very simple facts, and I finish. A, they learn here so much about the opportunity to develop an exchange in the history of book printing on Bihar and Jharkhand. This is not well known from abroad, as you know. Unfortunately, Bihar or Jharkhand have not much image. We can find book about Bihar and Jharkhand. We talk about India as a whole, which is really stupid. Number 2, the opportunity in the conference to document the famous image of the Bihari Bideshia, if I pronounce correctly, the migrants. As you know, it's a very important issue, not well known, and these conferences, at that conference we learned a lot about this experience, and I think this is just the beginning of the study. I'm working on Africa a lot. I must tell you the same question arises as for the migrants from Africa, the Afro-Americans, but also in Europe, how they provide, so much dynamism, confidence about the future of their country. And this sometimes play a major role in the revival of. So you call this diaspora. I think that term should not be used so much. It's not a diaspora. They are BRE or from Jharkhand. You see, diaspora means they are far away. They are not concerned about the future of their state. On the contrary, they are very much concerned. And the last is the opportunity to relate this data to the history of BRE indentured labor and to the history of BRE diaspora. Thanks so much for your attention. Thanks, Shaibal and ADRI team for giving us so much food for thought, and also we come back with a much better understanding of what can happen in Bengal and Jharkhand. As you know, India is moving very fast in the next couple of years. We don't know where India will be, so we are looking very closely to the experience of Bihar and Jharkhand. Thank you so much.
I request Lord Desai for his valedictory address.
Srimati Draupadi Murmu, Honorable Governor of Jharkhand and our chief guest, and other distinguished and special guests. I hope you don't mind my not naming you because I don't have enough time to do that if I'm going to do my job. My job is a very small one of laying out what the future lines of research for the next 25 years would be for ADRI, and all I can do is I can reflect on what we have heard. This most marvelous, rich collection of essays, and from that, what do we conclude are the outstanding problems that we have to bear in mind when we think of the next 25 years of development research that ADRI can undertake, as well as we can tell other people that that is the way to do it. And of course, by way of implication, tell the people who are going to give us all the money from the international agencies and from the government agencies that we need the money to do this research. One very important insight that has come through this conference is one has to think of development not in terms of just Bihar, not just Jharkhand, not just Bihar and Jharkhand, and Nepal, which was also mentioned, but in terms of the agro-ecological region of the Ganges Delta. We really have to put in any development effort at the top the agroecology of the whole region, because it's extremely important to the livelihoods of people, the way the different parts of Bihar-Jharkhand region break down into the flood-prone region, and then a little bit less in the middle and much more drier at the bottom. The way people's livelihoods are affected by change in the ecology is obviously very important thing if we are to understand development. But there's also the problem, as we know, and as Melinda told us and other people have told us, that there is a larger perspective of environmental deterioration, of climate change. And we really have to stop being skeptical about it, stop being idealistic about it, but be realistic and consider how climate change is going to affect people's livelihoods, how it is going to make certain things impossible, and how it is going to force us to accommodate in different ways. Just let me give you one example. We have taken a long historical perspective. We have gone back in some cases, in case of development of Hindi language, to 13th century. But we have also looked at the history of Bihar from the beginning of its inception as a single state, and sometimes even before that. In 1850, it's hard to imagine that India was a land-rich and labor-scarce country. Something nobody would believe. In Champaran, in the 1870s, there was a demand for workers. They had to invite workers from outside to come to Champaran because land was idle in Champaran. India had only 150 million people. 1/8 of what it has now. The Indian population has gone up 8 times. And the 150 million I was talking about was about undivided India. So possibly the population is over 10 times. And no ecology can stand that big a pressure on itself. And it is no good us pretending that India was always like this. We have done things in order to survive and exist and prosper. We have done things to nature for which we will have to do some recompense. Now we have to think about this thing and find out, in light of what we have learned at this conference, as to how over the next 25 years we deal with it. But to do that, we have to think over the last 200 years, as well as 25 years. Various states, boundaries have changed, states have formed. And in the middle of that, what we have to understand, that in the agroecology, the river systems of Bihar and Jharkhand are extremely important. The river systems of the upper Gangetic Delta are extremely important. And again, we have had some very good presentation about Nepal and Kosi and how the river systems of Nepal have been feeding the Gangetic Delta, how there are problems, how we can develop inland waterways, and things like that. So again, we have to think of the agroecology of this region in terms of the river, in terms of the forest, in terms of the way many Adivasis have lost their, not only their livelihood, but as someone showed us this morning, the mental peace. The way Adivasis relate to the forest is not in terms of private property ownership or even collective ownership. Their relation to the environment, the forest, is a supra-psychological, a spiritual one. And separated from the forest, the person is physically and psychologically unhappy. And it's very hard to explain to, as it were, the mainlanders that Adivasis relate to their environment in a very different way from way the rest of us do. And it's not just good saying SC/ST. That is too simple a way of classifying population. It is not just that people are minorities and need reservations. Yes, they do need reservations, but they need more than that. They have to be understood independently as autonomous cultural communities. I would almost say nations. And we have to understand how these nations develop, prosper, survive. And unless we do that, we will not be able to make our contribution as social scientists to the problem of development. From then on, we obviously come to the issue we have been discussing, and which Professor Boillot mentioned, is how do we see the role of the government, of the state, and so on? And indeed, in our investigations, we have looked at the colonial state, how the colonial state did some good things, some bad things, how the colonial state invented various practices and built up certain institutions, and of course, what the Indian state has done since independence. And again, what we have seen is this very interesting duality we all have, which is, it's one of the great, Indian democracy is one of the greatest successes in the world today. It's only post-colonial democracy that has survived for 70 years the way it has. And we heard about that. But the rest of the time we heard how it's absolutely not good enough. We go on liking a democracy, but we also know that it could do much better. And it could do much better. We have to find out in what way it can do much better. I don't think one should ever say, as indeed Professor Boillot said, it is not that the people in power don't know that there are insurmountable problems. It is not that the people in power are not trying day after day, whatever you may think of them, to solve the problems. But that it is, the political power is maybe necessary, but it is not sufficient to solve all problems. And we have to understand precisely what the limitations of political power are, and what we have been discussing, what are the actions that individual citizens can take, or they, individually or collectively, to improve that, and how we can formulate the things that the people can do. I think I am probably running out of my time, so I will just say two things. First of all, in ADRI, Bihar and Jharkhand have an enormously powerful instrument to be able to tackle these problems. And lastly, I want to very much thank not just Shaibal Gupta and Anjan Mukherjee, I mean, they are kind of the leaders, but the subalterns, the people who have been helping to make this conference a success, from the staff of ADRI, the staff of Maria Hotel, and all of you. And I thank the Governor once again for gracing us with her presence, and I wish you all a great thank you for being here.
I request Mr. Asadur Rahman now to say a few words, please.
Honorable Chief Guest, the Governor of Jharkhand, Srimati Draupadi Murmu, Honorable Ministers from Jharkhand government as well as Bihar government, all dignitaries sitting on the dais, and learned participants, media, ladies and gentlemen. It is great pleasure and honor to address this august gathering of scholars, policymakers, and development practitioners. At the outset, I would like to extend my heartiest congratulations to Asia Development Research Institute to organize such a big celebration of Silver Jubilee celebration. I would also like to thank ADRI office bearers to invite UNICEF to come and give us few minutes to speak in this gathering. Over the last 4 days, the rich deliberations on various themes and technical issues have enhanced the discourse on development in Bihar and Jharkhand. I consider this very important and timely, as both the states are in the process of planning or visioning for sustainable development goals. As you all are aware, United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution on 25th September 2015 titled Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, or better known as SDG. The SDG are based on doctrines of justice, dignity, people, planet, prosperity, and partnership. For SDG to be achieved in these two states, the focus has to be on the equity agenda, and inclusive growth. Investment in social sector with strong focus on needs of deprived and marginalized section of the population has both social and economic gains. Without making desired and sufficient progress on social sector outcomes, economic growth cannot be sustainable. Together, Bihar and Jharkhand accounts for 11% of India's total population and 14% of the total child population of the country. Bihar, with its 4.7 crore children, 46% of its population, is demographically the youngest state in India. This is both a great advantage and dividend as well as an onerous responsibility. If Bihar and Jharkhand have to maintain, accelerate and sustain the development, they need to seize the opportunity and invest on their children and adolescents now. Investment in children is investing the future. At UNICEF, we believe all children have a right to survive, thrive and fulfill their potential to the benefit of a better world. For the last 70 years, across 190 countries and territories, UNICEF has been advocating and working together with governments and key stakeholders to promote and protect the rights of the children. UNICEF upholds the Convention on the Rights of the Children, that is CRC, the most widely ratified human rights treaty of the world. As per the CRC and India's national policy for children, children are the rights holders. All the duty bearers, that is the government, civil society and other non-state actors, have to work together to ensure that all children are healthy, well-nourished, educated, protected and have opportunity to be heard and to participate in their own and society development. UNICEF state offices in Bihar and Jharkhand committed to promote the rights and well-being of every child in everything we do. Equity analysis of India suggests that last decade there has not been much change for the poorest quintile of the society and population. This calls for greater attention to inclusive growth. Both the states experience some very specific and unique vulnerability, and it would not be exaggeration to say that many development gains are offset by these specific and unique vulnerabilities. Women and children are the most affected. Lakhs of children lives in this country are blighted for no reasons other than the place, gender, or circumstances to which they are born. Failure to reach the most disadvantaged children fuels intergenerational cycle of disadvantage that impel their future, the future of their societies, and the future of the world. We have a clear choice to make: invest in accelerated progress for the children being left behind, or face the consequences of a far more divided and unfair world by 2030, the end date for the Sustainable Development Goals. I can confidently say that international conferences like this help in comprehensively examining the factors or challenges of the past, present and emerging issues for the future. I'm sure this international conference has made a significant contribution to enhancing understanding on the shared history and shared vision for Bihar and Jharkhand. I would like to reiterate that no society can truly progress by leaving its children behind. I earnestly hope that the development discourses like this will strongly advocate for keeping the best interest of children at the center of shared vision for Bihar and Jharkhand. better information on the most vulnerable children, integrated and innovative solutions to the challenges children face, more equitable investment and increased involvement by communities. All these measures can help create a fair chance for every child and sustainable development for 2 states. With this, once again, I express my sincere thanks to the participant for the patient hearing. I would like to thank the compliment ADRI for giving this opportunity to share my views and for successfully organizing this international conference. Thank you so much.
Mr. Wadhwani, please.
Honorable Governor, Jharkhand, Srimati Draupadi Murmu ji, Honorable Minister, Department of Education, Bihar, Dr. Ashok Chaudhary, Honorable Minister, Department of Parliamentary Affairs, Food, Public Distribution and Consumer Affairs, Government of Jharkhand, Shri Saryu Rai ji, other distinguished guests on the stage, members. It's a great pleasure for me to be here, and to start with, I'd like to congratulate ADRI on its Silver Jubilee. As Dr. Desai said, it is a great honor for, and not only honor, but I think it's an instrument that both the government of Bihar and the government of Jharkhand have, that ADRI can be here and support them in thinking about the issues here and what could be potential solutions. We have been lucky to partner with both ADRI and the government of Bihar for more than 5 years, actually since 2010. And most of our support has been in the area of health. I just thought I'd say a few words about what are the challenges about health in Bihar and the potential that Bihar has to address its problems. We have been supporting the government of Bihar, and it's been a great privilege of us to have this partnership for the last 7 years. And most of our support has been in the area of mother and child health, including determinants like family planning and nutrition. We work and support the government in every CHC, in every block in Bihar. And what is really amazing and shows the potential of Bihar is that we are able to just get in a few people to help, and literally in 9 months, we go into a block PHC for 9 months, and literally in 9 months, in every PHC, block PHC we worked in, stillbirth rate, which is babies that die before they are born, but during labor, comes down by about 20%. It varies by 15% to 25%, but this goes on in every block PHC after every block PHC. And this shows the potential of the people of Bihar. It shows the potential of the nurses there. It shows the potential of the ANMs there and the ASHAs there. And that's why we are so attracted to work here. Having worked here in Bihar for 7 years, we realized that perhaps we can do a bit more. We had been working primarily in the area of mother and child health, but there are broader health system issues that perhaps Bihar will want to tackle as it moves forward. And that's where we thought that partnering with ADRI makes a lot of sense. And we sponsored the Center for Health Policy here in Bihar under the auspices of ADRI. I will say a few words about what we mean by health systems. That seems a very big word, but I'll break it up into a few parts. Again, before I do that, let me come back to maybe one more example of what Bihar has done over the last decade that really shows the potential it has. So if you look at IMR, it's come down from, which is infant mortality rate, it's come down from 58 to 48. If you look at under 5 mortality, it's come down from about in the 80s to about 58. If you look at immunization rates, it's more than doubled in the last decade, from about 35 to 70%. And if you look at institutional deliveries, it was barely in the 20%, 25% a decade back, and now it's 70%. So all this shows the great potential that Bihar has. But while Bihar can tackle the problems of mother and child, and I'm certain in the next 10 years it will make even more progress, it's these issues about health systems that are perhaps more difficult to tackle. And there are 4 or 5 big issues about what we mean by health systems. So the first is about health financing, and one part of that is out-of-pocket expenses. So like in most parts of India, citizens of Bihar, people of Bihar, spend 80% of their money from their own pocket on health. And this is one of the main reasons that Biharis go into poverty. It's the same in most places in India, but perhaps it's more stark in Bihar, that 80% of spending comes from their own pocket rather than from the government or from insurance. And that's why if we want to tackle poverty, we have to think about how to tackle this issue of out-of-pocket expenses. The other, to solve this, maybe the government has to see, even though fiscal space is poor and less, what it could do to try and tackle this, and it depends on how much the government of Bihar wants to spend out of its budget for health. Today it is 6%. And as Bihar grows richer over the next 2 decades, the government will have to think about whether it wants to keep it at 6%, increase it or decrease it. Most governments, as they get richer, tend to increase it. The global average is about 13% of budgets go into health. So these are the kind of issues which we hope that ADRI will contribute towards. How to look at out-of-pocket expenditure, how to look at spending as a percentage of health spending as a percentage of health of the budget. The next issue is health, human resources for health. Again, in most states, and Bihar is no exception, there's a big shortage of specialists. So again, the problem is how do you get more specialists for Bihar? Even in government hospitals, we find that specialists, there's a shortage of more than 50% of specialists in Bihar. So those are other kind of issues that this Center of Health Policy may want to look at it. A third area of health system is just the organization of care. How do you organize care? How do you get the private sector together? How do you give money to NHM or the state doctors themselves so that overall the health system is better? And perhaps the other issue to think about is about procurement and of drugs and diagnostics. Do we really want to have citizens or people of Bihar to get free drugs and free diagnostics? To what extent? Which drugs? These are all issues that a state has to think for itself, and it can't just draw on saying we will do what the center tells us to do, because one, this is health is a state subject, and two, what's really is important is that each state is unique and has to decide for itself these policies. And therefore, it is very important that a center comes up in Bihar that serves not only the state of Bihar and the people of Bihar, but also acts as a resource for the neighboring states. Jharkhand, of course, is the most prominent example. Of course, as it was pointed out, ADRI was set up when Bihar was undivided Bihar and Jharkhand. And we hope that ADRI can provide this role of doing the applied research to help both Bihar and Jharkhand and potentially other states address these kinds of issues. So for us, it's a privilege to work with both ADRI and the government of Bihar. We feel we are lucky to be their partners, and we wish them all the best. Thank you.
I now call upon Mr. Amit Khare.
Honorable Governor Dr. Draupadi Murmu ji, Honorable Education Minister of Bihar Shri Ashok Chaudhary ji, Honorable Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of Jharkhand Shri Saryu Rai ji, Lord Meghnad Desai ji, Mr. Ranjan Mukherjee, Mr. Shaibal Gupta, distinguished guests on the dais, off the dais, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press and media. It's indeed a privilege to be here on the Silver Jubilee occasion, and I thank and congratulate ADRI for bringing together the academics and also the policy makers of both the states together on one platform. I would briefly like to mention 3 issues here. Bihar and Jharkhand both have tremendous natural resources. Bihar, its fertile land, Jharkhand with its mines and minerals. But in my view, the greatest asset that we have is our human capital. And there is a tremendous need to invest in our human resources. On behalf of the government of Jharkhand, I am glad to inform this gathering that under the guidance of our governor and the honorable minister who is here, in our budget for 2017-18, the highest allocation is for the education sector, 13.90%, followed by rural development and others. The second and an equally important area is that of women empowerment. Today morning, I was here only on the last day. We've been talking a lot about the tribal issues, quite genuinely. But one development which is taking place in the tribal areas of Jharkhand is the organization of women's self-help groups and the silent revolution that they are bringing about, the change that they are bringing about in the rural areas. I think that has been a very, very successful experiment. In fact, on behalf of the government, I would like to invite all of you, whenever you are in Jharkhand, please come and see the working of the WSHGs in our state. The third and perhaps the most important is to bring together the academia and the policy maker. I'm using the word policy maker because I feel bureaucracy is just a small part. Policy maker word would include the legislators, the political executive. Somehow there has been a lot of gap and distance between the academia and the policy makers. This gap needs to be bridged. ADRI has taken the initiative. They had a conference in Jharkhand, but there is a need to bring together the academia and the policy makers so that informed decision making is possible in the government. In fact, with the permission of our Honorable Minister, we just had a discussion. We would like to invite ADRI to organize similar conference at Ranchi. With these words, I thank you once again with my best wishes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Governor of Jharkhand, Minister of Education of Bihar, other authorities, the DAIS, and also present here in the room. Well, thank you very much. I am representing UNFPA. And it's very, a happy occasion to be with you today and to be with this very important group of thinkers, academicians, researchers, planners. Really, I think that the last 3 or 4 days, it seems that you had a very important discussion about the future, that vision, joint vision, of Bihar and Jharkhand. It's very difficult to speak about any other new aspect. My predecessors have really covered many issues that are really relevant for today's discussion. Perhaps I will point out 3 key elements that I can share with you. First one is the issue of population. And I'm glad that the previous speaker, the valedictory speaker, really referred to that variable. And I think that any research, any prognosis about development, like the one that ADRI is planning to take, should really begin to consider population and its relationship with sustainable development. We know that Bihar, for example, has about 100 million people. Let's say we think about 25 years from now, Bihar at the rate of population increase might be around 150, 160 million in 25 years. So the question is how Bihar and Jharkhand will be more or less a similar analysis, probably because of the fertility rates in Jharkhand. That population will not increase as the population in Bihar. So the question is how Bihar and Jharkhand will take advantage of that population and at the same time bring sustainable development to the states. I think that's a fundamental question. I think that research in the next years should really begin to play and to prepare some scenarios between population, development, and environment, which certainly will be very useful for policy making in the state. The second issue that I wanted to share with you is the situation in Bihar and Jharkhand of having a very important proportion of its population in the productive years. And I'm referring particularly to the youth population. From an economic, demographic perspective, that really gives these two states, and particularly Bihar, the opportunity of realizing a demographic dividend in the next years. A demographic dividend really happens once in history. It's a unique opportunity. It's a window of opportunity that will be closed in the next, let's say, 15 to 20 years for the states like Bihar. So the question is how the state really takes advantage and realizes this demographic dividend. And several examples were given before: investing in health, investing in education, particularly looking at those groups in Bihar that are being left behind. Dalits, Muslims, young girls, and women. I think that's crucial. And we need to begin to integrate these elements of the demographic dividend and these population groups into our analysis of how we would like to see Bihar and Jharkhand developing in the next 25 years, and how research will accompany and guide this process. I think that's the second element. I think it's fundamental for any research and policy agenda for the states. Finally, I think we need to begin to look at the bigger picture. And bigger picture, I'm not only referring to Jharkhand and Bihar, but also the role that Jharkhand and Bihar could play in India. Let's just share with you in a scenario. In the next 25 years, what will happen is that the northern states, Bihar, UP, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, will be the reservoir of human capital for India, because the southern states will begin, a process, having completed the demographic transition, will begin a process of population aging. So in a sense, in the north of India, in these states, there will be, the labor force, the human capital that will run the Indian economy for the next 50 years. So I think we need, in Bihar particularly, to begin to think how we negotiate that position of power in India, which means to begin to negotiate how other states in the Union will help Bihar to develop their population, their human capital, because it is in their own benefit that that development will play. I think we need to begin to think, in development, not only in terms of playing with the variables that we usually play, but also put these variables of economic development, social development, environmental aspects, and population in the right place when we begin to research and develop that research agenda, and how we link that to a policy work, policy action. So these are some reflections. Of course, I was not able to be with you throughout the conference, But certainly, looking at the summary of the presentations, I thought that many of the presentations, discussions, really will give Bihar and Jharkhand the elements to really place, strategically, their development, not only in the context of the two states, but also in the context of the whole India. Thank you very much.
I request Honorable Minister, Department of Parliamentary Affairs, Shri Saryu Rai.
आदरी के रजत जयंती समारोह के अवसर पर आयोजित इस सेमिनार में उपस्थित दुनिया भर के और इस देश के विद्वान सज्जनवृंद, मंच पर आसीन झारखंड की माननीय राज्यपाल महोदया, बिहार के शिक्षा मंत्री और हम लोगों के पुराने साथी अशोक चौधरी जी, आदरी के सदस्य सचिव शैबाल गुप्ता जी, आदरी के अध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर रंजन मुखर्जी और डॉक्टर जे बिलियट, हम लोगों के सभी के आदरणीय लॉर्ड मेघनाद देसाई साहब, असादुर रहमान साहब, अलकेश वाधवानी जी, झारखंड के विकास आयुक्त अमित खरे साहब और यहाँ उपस्थित प्रेस मीडिया के साथियों, पिछले 5 दिनों से शेयर्ड हिस्ट्री टू शेयर्ड विजन ऑफ बिहार एंड झारखंड इस विषय पर एक गंभीर विचार विमर्श चल रहा है। और मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि इसके अंतिम सत्र में, वैलेडिक्टरी सेशन में हम लोगों को आने का सौभाग्य मिला। मैं इसके लिए शैबाल जी को बधाई देता हूँ कि इतना उपयोगी और इतना प्रभावशाली एक कार्यक्रम इन्होंने आयोजित किया। और इसके प्रभाव को ही देखते हुए हमारे राज्य के विकास आयुक्त अमित खरे साहब ने उन्हें आमंत्रित किया कि हम झारखंड में भी एक इस तरह का आयोजन करें और इसकी जिम्मेदारी आदरी अपने कंधों पर संभाले, तो हम सभी इनके प्रति बड़े कृतज्ञ रहेंगे। हमारी राज्यपाल महोदया भी यहाँ उपस्थित हैं। हम बिहार और झारखंड के संयुक्त इतिहास और भविष्य की संयुक्त दृष्टि के बारे में हम चर्चा कर रहे हैं। झारखंड और बिहार पिछले 65 साल से 1935 से एक साथ हैं और जब इस देश में ब्रिटिश हुकूमत थी और पहली बार यहाँ के विधानसभाओं के चुनाव हुए 1937 में, तो हम कह सकते हैं कि इस देश में जब से चुने हुए जनप्रतिनिधि संगठन आरंभ हुए, सरकारें आरंभ हुई, तब से बिहार और झारखंड एक साथ 2000 तक इसमें अपनी भूमिका निभाते रहे। बिहार और झारखंड में कई ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो एक साथ दोनों आ जाएं तो देश ही नहीं बल्कि दुनिया में भी विकास का, आगे बढ़ने का एक मिसाल हम कायम कर सकते हैं। जब बिहार एक था तब हम लोग, मेरे जैसे सोचने वाले कहा करते थे कि बिहार एक तो है, मगर बिहार के विकास के लिए हम लोगों को गंगा के उत्तर के मैदानी इलाके, गंगा के दक्षिण के मैदानी इलाके और आज जो झारखंड है, छोटा नागपुर और संथाल परगना के जो पहाड़ी इलाके हैं, इन तीनों के बारे में हमको अलग अलग विकास दृष्टिकोण रखकर योजनाएं विकास की बनानी चाहिए। और इन तीनों में मैं देखता हूं कि बिहार में जो मैदानी इलाके हैं, इन दोनों का एरिया क्षेत्रफल हम जोड़ दें तो ये पंजाब और हरियाणा को मिलाकर जितना क्षेत्रफल होता है उतना क्षेत्रफल इनका है। जब दूसरी पंचवर्षीय योजना के दौरान इस देश में ग्रो मोर फूड कैंपेन चला था, तो उसमें से इस देश के 7 जिले चुने गए थे, उसमें से एक बिहार का शाहाबाद जिला भी था, जिसमें आज 4 जिले बन गए। और इसलिए था कि यहाँ अंग्रेजी शासन काल से बनी हुई एक सिंचाई परियोजना थी, सोन कनाल सिंचाई परियोजना, जो 1874 से जो यहाँ सिंचाई दे रही है और इस जमीन को उन्होंने उर्वरा बनाया है। ये सब होते हुए भी जब देश में हरित क्रांति आई तो बिहार में उसका प्रवेश नहीं हो सका। झारखंड में अनवायबल नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस हैं। अभी अमित खरे साहब बता रहे थे कि हमारे यहाँ मिनरल रिसोर्सेस बहुत ज़्यादा हैं। केवल मिनरल रिसोर्सेस ही नहीं है, वहाँ एडेक्वेट वाटर रिसोर्सेस भी हैं। और ब्रिटिश पीरियड से ही इस देश में पहला स्टील का कारखाना बना, तो झारखंड में 1907 में उत्पादन हुआ स्टील का इस देश में, टाटा स्टील का, तो पहला एरिया रहा है। और तब से जब बिहार और झारखंड का शेयर हिस्ट्री हम देखते हैं तो एक साथ पूरा जो हमारा छोटा नागपुर का इलाका था, एक तरह से पूरे बिहार का एक इंडस्ट्रियल स्टेट था। तो इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया, मिनरल का मिलना और साथ में मैदानी इलाके, पानी, सबकी सुविधाएं हमारे हमको विकास में बहुत आगे ले जा सकती थी। मगर ऐसी कुछ चीज़ें हैं जिनको हमने शेयर किया और जिसके कारण से हम आगे नहीं बढ़ सके। इसलिए आज हम सभी दोनों राज्यों के अलग होने के बाद इस विषय पर हम बात कर रहे हैं, वार्तालाप कर रहे हैं। तो निश्चित रूप से हम दोनों क्षेत्रों की विशेषताओं को लेकर भविष्य का एक दृष्टिकोण हम रख सकते हैं। दृष्टिकोण न केवल इस क्षेत्र के लिए बल्कि इस देश के विकास में भी अपनी भूमिका निभाएगा। और मेरे जैसा व्यक्ति मानता है कि जब तक बिहार और झारखंड विकसित नहीं होंगे तब हमारे देश के भी विकास की दर उस सीमा को नहीं छू पाएगी जिसकी हम कल्पना करते हैं। इसलिए क्षेत्र महत्वपूर्ण एरिया है। हमारा इतिहास है कॉलोनियल पीरियड से पहले का, प्री कॉलोनियल पीरियड, पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस पीरियड, इन सब में हमने बहुत सारी अच्छी और बुरी चीज़ों को शेयर किया, एक साथ किया है। आज ज़रूरत है कि अपने इतिहास पर हम दृष्टि डालें और उसमें जो कमियां रह गई हैं उनको सुधारते हुए आगे जाने का हम रास्ता तलाशें और दोनों राज्य इस देश की 2 मजबूत भुजाओं की तरफ हमारी मदद कर सकते हैं आगे बढ़ने में। सहवाल जी हम लोग के साथी रहे हैं, जब हम लोग कॉलेज में पढ़ते थे तब से कंटेम्प्रेरी हम लोग रहे हैं और हमेशा ही मैं इनको याद करता हूँ जब भी मुझे लगता है कि कोई जानकारी हासिल करनी है, कुछ दृष्टिकोण बनाना है विकास के बारे, योजना के बारे, तो मैं इनको हमेशा ही परेशान करते रहता हूँ। टेलीफोन पर मिलकर इनसे हम लोग सलाह लेते हैं और एक सलाह मैंने इनसे लिया था, हमने अपना व्यू शेयर किया था कि बिहार झारखंड तो ठीक है मगर बिहार झारखंड 1935 के पहले उड़ीसा के साथ थे। 1911 तक तो हम सभी बंगाल प्रेसिडेंसी के हिस्सा थे। 1911 में बंगाल के से अलग हुआ उड़ीसा और बिहार। 1935 में उड़ीसा से हम अलग हो गए, बिहार और झारखंड रहा। 2000 में झारखंड भी अलग हो गया। ये जो 4 राज्य हैं, इन चारों राज्यों का एक शेयर्ड हिस्ट्री है और प्री कॉलोनियल पीरियड से है, मुगल पीरियड से है, इनकी हिस्ट्री है। इसलिए एक बार इन पर भी गौर करने की ज़रूरत है। इसमें छत्तीसगढ़ को जोड़ दिया गया है क्योंकि जब झारखंड बन रहा था तो झारखंड में एक मूवमेंट चलता था कि बिहार का जो ट्राइबल एरिया है, उड़ीसा का ट्राइबल एरिया है, छत्तीसगढ़ का ट्राइबल एरिया है, इन तीनों को मिलाकर हमें ग्रेटर झारखंड बनाए। और आज भी चर्चा हो रही थी कि CNT-SPT एक्ट के माध्यम से ट्राइबल लैंड को सिक्योर करने की बातें हुई। जो तो याद है कि 1983 में रिजर्व बैंक ने एक कमीशन बनाया था डॉक्टर SR सेन की अध्यक्षता में कि क्यों ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन नहीं आ पाया इस इलाके में, और उन्होंने 1984 में रिपोर्ट दी है। वो भी एक हमारे लिए हिस्सेदारी की वजह हो सकती है कि पहले से सोचा जा रहा था कि हमारे भारत का जो पूर्वी क्षेत्र है, इस पूर्वी क्षेत्र में विकास की जितनी क्षमता है, हमारी शेयर्ड हिस्ट्री होने के बावजूद हमारा शेयर्ड विजन नहीं रहा कि हम एक रीजन के नाते हम आगे बढ़ें। हमारे देश में जितने भी क्षेत्र देखते हैं, दक्षिणी क्षेत्र, दक्षिण के राज्य हैं, पश्चिम के राज्य हैं, उत्तर के राज्य हैं, दिल्ली के अराउंड नेशनल कैपिटल रीजन है, इन सबों को देखते हैं। और हमारे नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न रीजन्स के लिए तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने एक अलग मिनिस्ट्री बना दी। तो आज यही एक ईस्टर्न रीजन हमारा है जो एक तरह से एबंडेंट है, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की नज़र में नहीं है। और इस ईस्टर्न रीजन में हमारे देश के 65 to 70% मिनरल रिसोर्सेस हैं। कुछ दिन पहले उन्होंने रांची में डेवलपमेंट एंड एनवायरनमेंट पर एक कॉन्फ्रेंस बुलाया था। उसमें इन सभी राज्यों को, जो ईस्टर्न रीजन के राज्य हैं, सबके लोग आए थे, क्योंकि भारत सरकार की पॉलिसी, दुनिया की पॉलिसी आज दिशा में आगे बढ़ रही है। उसमें हमारे नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं, तो इनके डेवलपमेंट के लिए जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की पॉलिसीज बनेंगी उसके हिसाब से हमको चलना होगा। और जब हमारे मिनरल रिसोर्सेज का इस्तेमाल कंट्री के डेवलपमेंट में होगा, इसका जो फॉल आउट होगा हमारे इन्वायरमेंट पर, आज से ही हमको उसको भी देखना चाहिए कि हमारा शेयर्ड विजन बिहार और झारखंड का यह भी होना चाहिए कि विकास के साथ साथ, डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ हम अपने इकोलॉजी और इन्वायरमेंट की भी चिंता करें। अगर हम पूर्वी क्षेत्र के बारे में विचार करेंगे तो इसका इम्पैक्ट अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर होगा। रिम्स ऑफ बे ऑफ बंगाल के दूसरी तरफ के जो देश हैं, जिसमें कई देशों को हम एशियन टाइगर कहते हैं, उनके साथ भारत सरकार की जो विदेश व्यापार नीति है कि हम साउथ ईस्टर्न एशियन नेशंस के साथ हम अपना व्यापार बढ़ाएं, हम उनके साथ अपना ट्रेड और कॉमर्स बढ़ाएं, तो ऐसी स्थिति में भी इस रीजन को पूरा लाभ तभी मिलेगा जब कलकत्ता, हल्दिया और पारादीप के बंदरगाह हमारे मजबूत होंगे। इसके लिए भी एक शेयर विजन के तौर पर, ईस्टर्न रीजन शेयर विजन के तौर पे हमको गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को इम्प्रेस करना होगा कि जो पब्लिक एक्सपेंडिचर जितना होना चाहिए इस रीजन में, आज तक उतना पब्लिक एक्सपेंडिचर इस रीजन में नहीं हुआ है। केवल बिहार झारखंड में ही नहीं बल्कि कहीं नहीं हुआ। जबकि जब कॉलोनियल पीरियड में ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी आई, कलकत्ता उसकी राजधानी थी, तो उसमें कलकत्ता के चारों ओर डेवलपमेंट हुए, विकास हुए। जब दिल्ली राजधानी हो गई तो एक तरह से इंडस्ट्रियल डीके हुआ इस एरिया का। और हमारे जो माइंस और मिनरल्स हैं, इसके इस्तेमाल के बारे में भी शैबाल जी और बहुत सारे लोग जानते हैं कि 1995 तक कुछ ऐसी पॉलिसी थी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की फ्री इक्वलाइजेशन की कि मिनरल रिसोर्सेज हमारे यहाँ हैं, पर हम उनके बेसिस पर यहाँ विकास करने पर जितना ध्यान देते थे, देश के दूसरे हिस्से में अधिक ध्यान दिया गया, क्योंकि भाड़ा फ्रेट एक ही लगता था, हम यहाँ के मिनरल रिसोर्सेज को कहीं भी ले जाएं। और बहुत दिनों तक तो बिहार और झारखंड एक था, मगर झारखंड के मिनरल रिसोर्सेज का इस्तेमाल बिहार के डेवलपमेंट के लिए नहीं हो पाया, क्योंकि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हमारा डेवलप नहीं किया था। गंगा के ऊपर तो एक पुल था बहुत दिनों तक बरौनी का, दूसरा बना पटना में। इसके अलावा कोई दूसरा पुल नहीं था कि गंगा के उस पर हम अपने ही राज्य के नेचुरल रिसोर्स को ले जाएं और डेवलप करें। बहुत दिनों तक मीटर गेज रेलवे लाइंस थी, हम अपने ही राज्य के नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज को हम बिहार के एरिया में डेवलपमेंट के लिए इस्तेमाल करें, इसमें बहुत सारे कॉन्स्टेंट थे, जबकि दुनिया के दूसरे राज्य हमारे इस रिसोर्स को लेकर डेवलप करते रहे। इसलिए जो हिस्टोरिकल रीजन है इस एरिया के बैकवर्डनेस का, हम उस पर गौर करेंगे तो एक बेटर विजन, शेयर्ड विजन हम फ्यूचर के लिए इस रीजन के डेवलपमेंट के लिए हम बना सकते हैं। और मुझे लगता है कि हमारे जो भी नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं, लैंड है, वाटर है, फॉरेस्ट है, हमारे माउंटेन्स हैं, मिनरल्स हैं, इन सबों का एक हम कंजंक्टिव यूज़ करें, उसके ऊपर एक शेयर्ड विजन के साथ प्लान बने, तो बिहार और झारखंड और इसके साथ साथ एक पूरे ईस्टर्न रीजन को हम एक साथ लेकर चलेंगे, तो नेपाल, भूटान, बांग्लादेश और रिम्स ऑफ बे ऑफ बंगाल के दूसरी तरफ के जो राज्य हैं, उनके साथ भी हम एक रिश्ता कायम कर सकते हैं डेवलपमेंट का, और हम खुद भी मजबूत होंगे। और जब हम मजबूत होंगे तभी जितने हमारे सोशियो इकोनॉमिक इंडिकेटर्स हैं, जिसके बारे में हम सभी ने चर्चा किया कि किस तरह से यहाँ एजुकेशन की क्या स्थिति हमारी यहाँ है, हमारे डिप्राइव्ड कम्युनिटी है उनकी स्थिति क्या है, ट्राइबल्स हैं, दलित हैं, उनकी स्थिति क्या है, तो हम सभी को आगे ले जा सकते हैं और पूरे इस राज्य को, बिहार झारखंड को और ईस्टर्न रीजन को हम एक शेयर्ड विजन के साथ आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
डॉक्टर चौधरी, आप वहीं से बोलिए।
On the occasion of ADRI Silver Jubilee Conference, sitting on dais, His Excellency Draupadi Murmu, Honorable Governor of Jharkhand, respected Lord Meghnad Desai ji, respected Saryu Rai Sahab, respected Anjan Mukherjee ji, respected Diego Palacios Sahab, respected great Shaibal Gupta ji, respected Amit Khare ji, Alkesh Wadhwani sahab, State UNICEF Chief Asadur Rahman sahab, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a matter of pride that ADRI has hosted and organized a world-class social science conference on Bihar and Jharkhand, shared history and shared vision. Right here in Patna and has invited a galaxy of scholars who have worked on this reason. This conference will go a long way to build up the image of Bihar as a conference destination and stimulate the research in which gradually universities of Bihar and Jharkhand will also participate. The conference is very important because it is taking place at a time when liberalization and democracy is under attack in the whole world. There seems to be some kind of disconnect between the common people and the liberal intelligentsia, who are perhaps unable to understand and articulate their concern. This crisis also demands us to redefine the relationship between the intellectuals and society, and we should stop behaving as a privileged elite and the rulers. We have to find out reason for the breakdown of communication and find out ways to reestablish it. No doubt, social science research be one of the most important avenue to achieve these goals. I concede that it is a big challenge for the social scientists to save their research from contemporary socio-political pulls and pressure. Nonetheless, they perform a great task to help us make sense of social complicity and journeys. I congratulate all of you who have presented their research and finding in this conference to understand the various dimensions of Bihar and Jharkhand society. I feel that contribution through research is as important as contribution through financial aid to the state. I request you all to keep working on Bihar and help us put together a better policies. We realize that it is important for us to enrich the social science research in Bihar, and our Chief Minister Shri Nitish Kumar is determined to strengthen in the state. I have seen that you had a session on river, land and people and the Kosi trade, and I believe that it must have been meaningful session. I want to inform you that Bihar is soon going to have country first center for river studies in Patna under Aryabhatta Knowledge University. I hope that many of you would find better research opportunity once this center starts functioning. Similarly, Aryabhatta Knowledge University is also going to establish Patliputra School of Economics, which will create immense research opportunity in the field of economics. We are also working on the School for Journalism and Mass Communication. AKU has also established a Center for Nanoscience and Technology in its campus. Now Bihar, with its Indian Institute of Technology, Patna, Indian Institute of Management, Gaya, National Institute of Fashion Technology, Chanakya Law University, two Center University, is ready to march ahead on the path of robust higher education opportunities. I would like to share with you a sense of optimism which Bihar is developing in its education sectors. At the primary level, our GR has gone up to 99.99%, and even at secondary and higher level, the participation of girls have increased up to 44% and 49%, respectively, of the total strength. This is the result of cycle scheme which our Chief Minister Nitish Kumar initiated. We have conducted astoundingly for fair examination in the last 2 years, and it has been widely acclaimed as a big achievement of our government. We are in the process of establishing virtual classroom in 1,000 schools, and if its experiments go through, we will soon connect many more classes to this system. We are aware that the quality of our teachers is an area of concern. Therefore, we have undertaken $4 million ambitious project to modernize our teacher training program with the help of World Bank. I am fully aware that a lot of task has to be still done. Our higher education GR is nearly 14% against the national average of 23%. We have to climb many more hills before we reach a respectable point. We are aware that we have to stimulate interdisciplinary research in many emerging areas of knowledge, conduct academic audit, revamp old curriculum, and radically reorganized department in our university to emerge as the innovation hub of the country. I believe that setting of research agenda is also very important in both natural and social science. It is possible that priority of American or European university may be quite different, which may or may not match with our interests. It is tasked to our intellectuals to formulate and pursue a social science research which address our requirement of economy, growth and social harmony. I understand that it is difficult to put all social science research to direct use of policy planning. However, we should avoid sterile research to save limited resources for the benefit of poor. We have to put rigor to our studies, which is minimum expectation from every honest scholar. I request ADRI and all our scholars present here to prepare a roadmap to promote and strengthen the social science research in Bihar to cope up with the development needs of the state. I also request to create a Bihar study online network of scholars on the line of religion of South Asia or other popular theme-oriented network in Western universities. I thank again all the participants who must have taken lots of pain to participate in this international conference. And thanks, ADRI, for inviting me for the valedictory session. Thank you very much.
I request the Honorable Governor to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. On the occasion of valedictory session of this International Conference of ADRI, on the dais, Shri Saryu Rai, Honorable Minister, Parliamentary Affairs, Government of Jharkhand, Shri Asadur Rahman, Honorable Minister, Education, Government of Bihar, Shri Shaibal Gupta, Member Secretary ADRI Patna, Dr. J Boillot, Lord Meghnad Desai, Mr. Asadur Rahman, Mr. Alkesh Wadhwani, Mr. Amit Khare, Development Commissioner, Government of Jharkhand, Mr. Palacios, Professor Anjan Mukherjee, Chairman ADRI Patna, all dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, students, friends from media, Johar, Namaskar. It is a great pleasure for me to be the chairperson of the valedictory session of the third and final ADRI Silver Jubilee International Conference on Bihar and Jharkhand. Shared history to shared vision. I am very confident that the deliberations of this 5-day conference has been very intense and fruitful, and the participants will return from here with a sound understanding about the development challenges in our two adjoining states. Bihar and Jharkhand, right from ancient times, have attracted scholars' attention for various regions. The region that presently encompasses these two states holds histories that shape them even today. The region is remembered for its numerous achievements in ancient period, like the place where Buddhism first emerged and the great center of learning in Melinda. Some of the socio-economic and cultural difference within the region accumulated in the partition of the region in 2000 and the formation of the two separate federal states. When the original Bihar was bifurcated as Bihar and Jharkhand, it was definitely an important political event. It was a response to the political aspiration of the people of Jharkhand who had been asking for this separation for many years. But political events, howsoever important, cannot dominate all social, economic, and cultural trends. The borders have separated the region politically, but have not disunited the states socio-economically and culturally. As neighboring states with shared past, the borders are porous both literally and symbolically. If one observes the social trajectory of Bihar and Jharkhand in last 17 years, this becomes quite apparent. Since independence, there have been a number of occasions when states have been reorganized. The major are being in 1956. And on every occasion, it has been quite apparent that certain times honors, human relations always survive. Even when states or region are politically separated, in case of Bihar and Jharkhand, one must remember that they have been together for many years, starting from the days of Bengal presidency, that was the creation of two colonial administrations. It is therefore not surprising that even after the separation, their relations are very vibrant. In contrast to the relation between old Bihar and Odisha, which were also together until 1934, the relation between Bihar and Jharkhand has survived the political separation. One important reason for that is the linguistic homogeneity of the two states. But there are other factors as well. Secondly, one must also remember that the mineral-rich Jharkhand and fertile land-rich Bihar can complement each other's natural endowment in a very significant way, driving the growth engine in both the states. This will truly make it possible for Jharkhand and Bihar to have a shared vision after they have shared a history for more than a century. Friends, I am extremely glad that members of ADRI not only conceived this idea of shared history to shared vision for Jharkhand and Bihar, but solidified it by organizing this international conference. I am almost sure that this achievement of ADRI was possible because it has been in the midst of social science research for 25 years. Admittedly, 25 years is not a long period for an institution, but for a new institution, the first 25 years is indeed crucial. It is during this period that the institution lays its foundation. And it is the strength of this foundation that carries it in its future years. I learned that although the major part of ADRI's academic activities in Bihar, it has also been present in Jharkhand for last 20 years. I sincerely wish that ADRI is able to extend its academic activities to Jharkhand to benefit the people there and enthuse the scholars in Jharkhand to undertake more and more social science research. In any case, I take this opportunity to congratulate the members of ADRI for their commendable efforts during the last 25 years. I also wish them more achievement in social science research during the years to come. I sincerely suggest all gentlemen participating here to come up with an idea for development in the field of education in both states. Without basic and proper education, the growth in social, political, economic and cultural field cannot be accepted. We know education is the spinal cord of society. I urge to expedite on this field. I also trust that the deliberation at this conference over the past few days will enthuse the stakeholders in both the states to chart and traverse new horizons of development. Jai Hind, Jai Jharkhand, Jai Bihar. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. It's now my very pleasant duty to offer a vote of thanks to all those who have made this a success. It's been 5 long days that we have sat. Today we have started sitting from 8:35 in the morning. So I wouldn't like to make a very long speech. In any case, we have overshot our time. But I'd like to record our sincere thanks, first of all, to the President of India, who started it all, to the Governor of Bihar, the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of the Government of Bihar, and the Education Minister. Thank you, sir, for being with us at the beginning and the end. We want to thank our sponsors, the Bihar State Higher Education Council, the CEPII, which is actually the Center for Economic Policy and Public Finance, located within ADRI and also funded by the Department of Finance of Government of Bihar, the ICSSR, the UNFPA, the Times Group, the Center for Health Policy, you just heard, which has been a new unit which has been created by the BMGF within ADRI, the Jharkhand State Higher Education Council. It's no wonder that when the President spoke on day one, he said that the way to go forward for both these states was to invest heavily in education. And as you can see, both the state governments of Bihar and Jharkhand have, in fact, heavily invested in this conference. I also would like to thank particularly people on the dais for making time to be present today with us. We thank the Honorable Governor of Jharkhand, Srimati Draupadi Murmu, Honorable Minister, Department of Parliamentary Affairs, Food, Public Distribution and Consumer Affairs of Government of Jharkhand, Shri Saryu Rai. I've already thanked the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Ashok Chaudhary,